employers spend thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars on employee benefits. It is the second largest cost to many employers right after payroll. There are 6 communication milestones that I look at for a successful open enrollment. How do you define a successful open enrollment? What I have seen with most employers, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I've been through 20 open enrollment cycles with hundreds of employers and thousands of employees. And what most employers want and employees want is clear communication, want to be able to understand their benefits and how their benefits work. Number 2 is they want to feel as though they have been able to look at all of the options and that they made a good financial decision for themselves and for their family. And the third one is they want to get their ID cards on time. They want to be able to go to the doctor, go to the dentist, go to the eye doctor without any issues. As long as we can meet those 3 main objectives, most of the time it's a happy ending, it's a happy story, and people are relatively happy as long as we can get those 3 things done. That might sound like very simple, very elementary, but as long as we stick to those basics, everybody's in a win-win situation. The employer is maximizing their employee benefit spend with more satisfied employees. Employee benefits are the number 2 most expensive line item for employers in the United States right after payroll. Employers are spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on employee benefits, and at the end of it, if the employees aren't happy with their benefits and the way that open enrollment went, what are we doing? I mean, we really need to maximize that dollar that the employer is spending. I'm going to go through these 6 communication milestones that I look at for open enrollment and use as a template. This is just what I've done. This is what I have seen. We're aiming for as many happy employees as we can get, and so these are the 6 milestones and touch points that I have used in order to achieve that. This is a visual to show you the roadmap to open enrollment success. The first thing that I think about when I think about open enrollment success is timeline. If we're rushing, if we don't get the renewal on time, if we don't have renewal discussions on time, it really throws off the rest of the employee communications. Most employers are looking to educate their employees, make sure all of the ID cards are distributed to the employees in a timely manner, and that everybody can go to the doctor and the dentist and the eye doctor. The objectives for open enrollment are pretty simple. In order to get those objectives completed, there's a lot of work that has to go in on the front end. The very first thing is making sure you have your renewal on time and that your renewal discussions and decision making on time. I've had numerous occasions where the first 2 are met, where we get the renewal on time, we have renewal discussions, but the decision making is bottlenecked in some way. With you and your organization, make sure that there are the right people involved in that decision making process, and that if someone is going to be unavailable or on another project, maybe remove them from that decision-making circle on the employee benefits just this year, maybe bring them, just up to speed in some way. My point is, we want all of the decision makers understanding that the timeline is uber important to make sure that the objectives at the end of the road are met. We can't get the ID cards in on time if we're getting renewal discussions done late. We can't get the ID cards on time if we're not getting decisions made in a timely manner. It may seem very simplistic, elementary. These are all things that maybe I'm not here to teach you, but I'm just here to remind you that this is what I've seen, this is what I've done, and this is what I have seen happen over the 20 years that I've been in employee benefits. So I've been through 20 years of renewal cycles with hundreds of clients And this is some of the general umbrella items that I see happen with every company. And this is very general. Of course, there's all these nuances that go into every single client. So this is just meant to be a general tactical overview. First is we have this cost evaluation here, and then decision making. Very important, very important. And also, I do have some issues sometimes with carriers getting information to us. So if I'm not able to get the renewal in to do a cost evaluation in a timely manner, that of course is going to throw off decision making, which then throws off the timeline we need for implementation, which, so you know what, trickles downstream. In a perfect world, we would be getting the renewal about 90 days, sometimes even as much as 6 months prior to the renewal date, depending on the size of the client. The smaller clients oftentimes get their renewals 90 days before. Some of the larger clients can get their renewals 6 months before. That is very helpful. The sooner we get it, the sooner we can get all of the requests for proposals out, do the comparison on all of the carriers, because part of our job as brokers is we have access to all of the insurance markets. We are going to be able to look at all of those options for our clients and then narrow it down for them in a clear and concise way to help them with step 2, which is the decision making. As long as I have done my job and we have done our job in distilling that information, making it digestible, making it understandable, making it clear, then the decision making process should go very well. Again, unless there are too many cooks in the kitchen, maybe too many decision makers involved, or if there is a decision maker that is out on vacation, or we have to wait for X, Y, or Z reason, the only reason why this decision wouldn't be made in a timely manner is really our fault. If we're not getting that information to the employer in a clear and concise way. Then once the decisions are made, I put this little footnote here because, and it's unique and meant to stick out for a reason, because it's a small thing but tends to get overlooked. Right after those decisions are made, we need to update COBRA. We need to update that COBRA administrator, and this is a step that so many people miss, unfortunately, or they do it back here somewhere, and the COBRA participants don't get updated just like everyone else. In a perfect world, the decisions would be made, and then the communication starts. The communication to those people that are going to be affected by any of those decisions or any of those changes. Those people need to be notified clear and in a transparent way and in a timely way. And some of those people that are affected are either COBRA eligible or COBRA participants, people that are actively on COBRA. For instance, let's say you have Aetna and Aetna's rates went up 30% and you're moving to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Those COBRA people are also going to be moving over to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they need to know about that sooner rather than later. Here I go over in a video, so I'm going to link it here on COBRA and why COBRA is so important. And this is a little excerpt of that video just talking about just a 10-second clip of that video. And of course, if you want the full video, I'm going to link that here.
A qualified health plan, so every health insurance plan you offer and every dental insurance plan you offer and vision insurance plan you offer is a COBRA eligible plan, and you want to notify those employees that are eligible for COBRA of those rates and the benefits.
Then we've got the implementation part. So implementation can be anything in regards to paperwork and getting the items needed to implement either a new plan or renew a plan. We get into employee communication, and of course we want to make sure that those employees are communicated to, as I said, in a timely manner, in a clear and concise manner, in a fair manner, and in a timely manner. Then we have our wrap-up items, which is wrap docs and other compliance-related items, and in addition to that, usually billing. I put billing in there as well. Open enrollment success. comes down to communication. Most of the issues that I run across, probably 90% of them, are communication issues between the employer and the employee, communication issues between the employee and the doctor's office, communication issues between the insurance company and the doctor's office, or the insurance company and the employer. And I've heard Layla Hermosi talk about this as well, is that it takes 7 times for your employees to understand that something is important. So if you're not communicating something at least 7 times, that employee may not really get the message or understand that it is something that they have to take action on. Email communications or communications with our employees and open enrollment and onboarding and offboarding, these are all forms of marketing and sales. We're recruiting, or when we are pitching open enrollment to an employee, it is a sales pitch. We're using some sales tactics and some persuasion tactics and influencer tactics to request that an employee take action. And anytime you have a call to action, there are sales strategies involved with that. In today's environment, employees are oversaturated with information, and it takes more attempts to get someone's information than it has in the past, because we are in the information age, the age of Aquarius, the age of technology, and people are overwhelmed with information. Be patient with your employees and understand that going into it, that you will have to send out more emails than maybe you expect, or over communicating is better than under communicating. So you're questioning whether or not to send that email, if you're questioning whether or not to send out that other flyer, if you're questioning whether or not to bring it up again at a huddle or up again at a employee meeting, the answer is yes. It is better to bring it up and broach the subject than it is to just let it slide. Employees are not thinking about this as much as you are. Employees are not thinking about their benefits as much as you are as the HR person. They're not as educated as you are on open enrollment. We need to get the big rocks of information to the employees in a clear and concise way, and do a little bit of a drip campaign to those employees. First, and these, you can certainly do more than this, but these are the 6 touch points that I put in employee communication. I should probably put 7, since I just said you have to do 7, but a couple of these, this first one, email or emails, for a smaller employer, you may not have to send as many because you're maybe communicating with your managers more often. Your company's not as divided and all over the place as maybe a larger company. Anyway, step 1, email or emails. Email 1, so the objective of email 1 is to communicate the renewal is approaching and announce the date for employee education meetings. And the reason why I put emails in parentheses is because this can be 2 emails. Roughly 60 to 90 days prior to your open enrollment, you may want to just send out a general email, a very simple email to your employees, just reminding them that open enrollment for your company is during the month of October, or whatever the month is of which your open enrollment is. It's probably December, so I'm going to use January 1st renewals as an example as I talk about this. So we're going to assume that your company is a January 1st renewal and that your open enrollment is during the month of December. You may send out a communication that your renewal is approaching and open enrollment is during the month of December. Please look forward to future emails from me regarding upcoming meetings, benefits changes, one-on-one meetings. You might list an outline of the communications that will follow over the coming months as you gear up for open enrollment. This is a sample of a very simple email that you can send out to your employees about 60 days prior to their open enrollment. You just let them know open enrollment is approaching, and you say, good morning, XYZ employee, our open enrollment is right around the corner. List all the benefits that you are offering, and if there's any changes or any additions that you know of, including that, trying to keep it light and happy. Insurance is scary to most people. Most people don't want to talk about insurance. And so getting some sort of good news in there. Are you adding ortho? Are you going to be paying for vision this year? Are you going to be increasing your life insurance offering? Are you going to be adding voluntary benefits? Trying to find something, some good news in this initial email, I think goes over very, very well with employees. And then at the end, I just like to add something about keeping an eye out for emails from HR, just letting them know, hey, these are the things that are going to be coming up. We're going to have an educational seminar for you talking about your benefits. We're going to have summaries, which are benefit guides and summaries. And then we've got action items that we're going to be sending out now. You can even let them know, no action items at this time. This is just an FYI, but here you go. Something super simple. Then another email that you would send out is as soon as you know when your open enrollment educational meetings or seminars are going to take place, communicate those with your employees. And that may also be its own drip campaign. You don't always just want to send it out once. Oh, our education meetings are going to be December 2nd at 2 p.m. and you send that out in October and never send it again. That doesn't make sense. So you'll probably want to map that out as well. Maybe put a delay delivery or something in your email outlook and say start 2 or 3 weeks prior to the event, and use some sort of a countdown strategy. It works really well in that scenario. So something like 2 weeks before, you might say, hey, we have meetings coming out. Reminder, meetings will be December 2nd at 2 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there. Register here, and get them to put it on their calendar. And then a week before, remember, next week at 2 p.m. on December 2nd, you have our educational seminar. Look forward to seeing you there. And then perhaps the day before. So you might even have up to 4 to 5 emails just in this first category. Then communication number 2 is going to be meetings. These can be live or they can be pre-recorded. I'm a fan of doing a live meeting to those that are available and recording it as I do it live. I like to do them live because employees can ask the enroller questions as the meeting is presented, and then those who are watching it at a later date may have those same questions, and they can reap the rewards of seeing those questions answered live. Next, we have another set of emails or memos or payroll stuffers, text messages, however you communicate with your employees, or Slack, however you communicate with your employees. Here I'm using email because most employers are on email. A summary of education meetings with the recording, slides, and or benefit guides and next steps. After the open enrollment meeting concludes, you send a follow-up email to all of the employees, which includes a link to the recorded presentation. Hey, you never know, the employee's spouse might want to listen in on the recorded presentation, and include an attachment of the benefit summary or the benefit guide or the slideshow presentation. Then at the end of the email, you're going to want to put next steps. So what are the action items that the employees need to take? Next is one-on-ones. In some situations, especially if we have voluntary or a few voluntary benefits, in particular if it has to do with life insurance, additional life insurance, or additional disability insurance, one-on-one meetings are a great option. Offering the employees a one-on-one education with a benefits specialist is something that is really, really useful. And these can be either mandatory or voluntary, and having some sort of sign-up sheet, whether it's a Google Sheets or it's a physical sign-up sheet for one-on-ones, or if it's sometimes it's just a Calendly invite to the benefits specialist's calendar, so that those can be scheduled and that those employees can be educated on a one-on-one basis. This can also be used for employees who perhaps were in the group meeting but didn't feel comfortable asking their question in a group setting. Maybe it's a very personal question. Maybe they had questions about mental health or detox services or anxiety or depression. I mean, you never know what employees are going through, and some employees are more private than others. Offering some sort of one-on-one education is absolutely extremely important, in my opinion. Number 5 is emails. So this is a summary of an election. Once employees have gone through and done all of the action steps, they've either renewed as is, or they have added or removed a dependent or changed plans. Once they've signed the dotted line, some sort of summary of their deductions and them signing off on those deductions has to be done. In order for the HR person to be able to legally take payroll deductions from a employee, those deductions have to be acknowledged by the employee with some sort of a signature, and we can usually get those electronically now, and or some employers still like paper copies. Some sort of a deduction summary to the employee is very, very helpful. And also, this is where I would throw in compensation statements. Once the enrollment is complete, you can show the employee exactly what their compensation is. Of course, most people, they will know their salary or their hourly rate, but most employees don't realize how expensive benefits are. As I said before, benefits are the most expensive expense to employers in the United States, second only to payroll. So employers are spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in this area, and this is one way that the employer can get some recognition for that, and that the employees can see how much employers are paying in taxes for their employee and any benefits that they're offering that the employer is paying for. Okay, and for those of you who have not seen a total compensation statement before, this is what it looks like. It has this one, the sample just says total compensation at the top. It usually has the employee's name in here and says, "Dear employee, your total compensation package through XYZ employer is made up of more than just your pay in each paycheck. There are a number of benefits that we pay for and provide in addition to your salary that contribute to your total compensation. These benefits range from medical and dental as well as your paid time off." Then it gives a annual compensation, how much the employee pays in benefits, and then a total compensation number. And then it breaks out how much your annual pay is and then gives it a ratio to your benefits. And this employee is at about 20% of their compensation is applied through benefits. And then the next page goes through and talks about how much the cost is that the employer is paying on an annual basis for medical, dental, vision, FICA, and Medicare. Then I put WRAP as number 6, and this is where the employer may be distributing ID cards. Perhaps you have some generic ID cards, or notifying the employees that they will be receiving ID cards in X amount of days from their carrier, and this is what to look out for when they come in the mail. Something that notifies the employee as to when they are going to get their ID cards, or in some cases, ID cards are electronic. So if you're getting electronic ID cards distributed, this is where this would be distributed. Also, wrap docs, making sure all those are up to date. If you've made any carrier changes or plan changes, making sure that those wrap docs are all up to date and you're in compliance with that. And then, of course, auditing your bill. Noting any changes that happen during open enrollment and checking those carrier bills to make sure that they match up to those changes. And if they don't, notifying your broker and getting those corrected as soon as possible. Okay, I just moved myself because I realized you guys couldn't see this. Again, we've got the first option, or the first step is emailing the employees and communicating that the renewal is approaching. 2, as soon as you know when the open enrollment education meetings are going to happen, emailing the employees and creating some sort of a campaign in your emails to send out email reminders of those open enrollment meetings that are coming at that later date. 2, getting the open enrollment meetings done and educating the employees on open enrollment and their benefit options. 3, as soon as the open enrollment meetings are done, sending out a follow-up with the slides or the benefit guide from the open enrollment meetings, as well as addressing any action items that need to be taken, any action items that are needed to be taken to complete open enrollment. Next is offering a one-on-one consultation with the employees that either need it, or some employers make this mandatory, especially if they're offering voluntary benefits for life and disability insurance. Number 5 on the checklist is getting the election summaries out to the employees. So as soon as employees have taken the action to enroll or decline or change benefits, that election summary is sent out with payroll deductions, and employees sign off on those payroll deductions. This is where I also included compensation statements, letting the employee know what their total compensation is from the employer, which of course includes their salary or pay, any bonuses, any taxes, any payroll taxes the employer is paying on behalf of the employee, and any benefits that the employer is paying on behalf of the employee, and listing those out in the total compensation statement. And the final step is wrap. So wrapping it up, going through any compliance issues like updating your wrap doc, getting Part D notices out, auditing your bills, and then the last communication that you would have with your employees on open enrollment would be distributing ID cards. Whether you're distributing those electronically or just letting the employees know when they can expect those to come in the mail and what those could possibly look like when they do arrive. Hopefully you found those 6 milestones for communicating with employees during open enrollment super valuable, and if there are any items that I've missed that you think are important, please let me know. I have a link down below. You can reach out to me, schedule a meeting with me. If you are not a client, I do require a questionnaire to be completed ahead of time. If you are a client, you know how to get a hold of me. One more thing. If you're a client, thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate all the testimonials that have been rolling in. Also, if you're not a client, I have a link down below for an application, a questionnaire. Once completed, we can hop on the phone together, probably about a 30-minute phone call to see if I can help you. Again, I appreciate you hanging out until the end, and I'll see you next time.